Stand here on an ordinary morning in the year 79 AD, and you would never guess that, by nightfall, this city would cease to exist. The bread is still in the ovens. The wine is still fermenting in the cellars. Somewhere, a mosaic maker is placing the final tile into a floor he will never finish. Above it all, a mountain watches in silence, and no one in Pompeii knows its true name. This is Pompeii. Not the ash-choked ruin frozen in museum glass cases, but a living, breathing Roman city at the height of its prosperity. 16,000 people call this place home. Its streets hum with commerce. Its temples glow with painted gods, and its wealthy villas hide gardens more beautiful than anything most Romans will ever see. In the next 15 minutes, we are going to walk through Pompeii, exactly as it stood on the final days before Mount Vesuvius erased it from the world. We will see its markets, its brothels, its bathhouses, its bakeries, its politics, its scandals, and its quiet, ordinary joys. And we will understand, piece by piece, why none of it was enough to save the people who lived there. The gates of Pompeii open before the sun fully clears the horizon. Cartwheels grind against volcanic stone paving, worn smooth by decades of foot traffic. The streets are narrow, lined with stepping stones raised above the gutters so that togas stay clean, while water and waste flow beneath. Already, the air smells of wood smoke, fresh bread, and the sharp tang of fish sauce being ladled into clay jars for sale. This is garum, Pompeii's most famous export, fermented in vats behind the city walls and shipped across the empire. Shopkeepers pull back wooden shutters on stone counters built directly into the street, revealing sunken jars of wine, oil, and stew, kept warm for workers who have no kitchens of their own. A baker named Modestus, whose ovens still stand today exactly as he left them, pulls loaves stamped with his own name so no one can steal his recipe. Above the shop fronts, second-floor apartments creak with families waking for the day, unaware that this dawn is unlike any other they have known. Pompeii is not a poor provincial town. It is a resort city for Rome's elite, a place where senators and merchants build villas to escape the political heat of the capital. Walk past the Forum, and you find the beating heart of civic life. Temples to Jupiter and Apollo standing in colonnaded splendor, their marble facades catching the morning light. Politicians paint campaign slogans directly onto walls, urging citizens to vote for candidates whose names still survive in red paint nearly 2,000 years later. Turn a corner, and the House of the Faun opens before you, one of the largest private residences in the Roman world, its floors inlaid with mosaics depicting Alexander the Great in battle. This is a city that wants to be seen. Every fountain, every painted wall, every sculpted garden is a performance of status, wealth whispered through art rather than shouted through words. And yet, beneath this polished surface, something else is stirring, quite literally, deep beneath the ground itself. 17 years before this final morning, the earth had already tried to warn them. A massive earthquake tore through Pompeii in 62 AD, cracking temples, toppling statues, and forcing the wealthy to rebuild entire districts from rubble. Some historians believe scaffolding still stands unfinished around certain buildings, repairs abandoned or still underway when the end finally comes. The Romans had no concept of Vesuvius as an active volcano. To them, its slopes are simply fertile farmland, covered in vineyards that produce some of the finest wine in the region. No one living in Pompeii has ever seen it erupt. The knowledge simply does not exist. Small tremors in the days leading up to the disaster are treated as a minor nuisance, the kind of thing you shrug off on your way to the baths. This is the cruelest irony of Pompeii's final days. The signs were there. The warning had already been given. 17 years too early for anyone to understand what it truly meant. By midday, the Forum fills with citizens conducting the daily business of Roman life. Enslaved workers move between households and workshops, their status marked by simple tunics and, for some, iron collars. Freed slaves called freedmen, some of them now wealthier than their former masters, walk proudly through streets that once denied them any standing at all. Along the Via dell'Abbondanza, Pompeii's great commercial avenue, thermopolia serve hot food to travelers and locals alike, their marble counters still stained from centuries of spilled wine and stew. Graffiti covers nearly every wall in the city, a raw, unfiltered window into how ordinary Romans actually spoke. Love confessions, insults, election endorsements, even simple boasts about a good meal, all scratched into plaster by hands that had no idea their words would outlive an empire. Nearby, the amphitheater looms, the oldest surviving stone arena in the Roman world, capable of holding the entire population of the city for gladiatorial games that draw crowds from across the region. Just 3 years earlier, a brutal riot broke out here between Pompeian fans and visitors from a neighboring town. A fight so violent that Emperor Nero banned games in the arena for a decade. Pompeii, it seems, has always lived at full volume. No Roman city functions without its baths, and Pompeii boasts several elaborate complexes where citizens gather not just to wash, but to socialize, gossip, and conduct business. The Stabian baths, already centuries old by this point, offer separate wings for men and women, heated through an ingenious system of underfloor channels called a hypocaust, where hot air from furnaces circulates beneath raised floors and through hollow walls. Bathers move between the frigidarium, tepidarium, and caldarium, cold, warm, and hot rooms designed to open pores, relax muscles, and cleanse skin coated in the day's dust and sweat. Enslaved attendants scrape oil and grime from bathers' skin using curved metal tools called strigils. Here, in the steam and the murmured conversation, the true social fabric of Pompeii reveals itself. A place where class boundaries blur just slightly, where merchants and nobles share the same water, if not quite the same status. It is early afternoon on August 24th, though some evidence now suggests the true date may have fallen later in the year, in October. Without warning, the mountain that has fed Pompeii's vineyards for generations tears itself open. A column of ash, pumice, and superheated gas rockets more than 20 miles into the sky, visible for hundreds of miles in every direction. Pliny the Younger, watching from across the bay, later describes it as resembling an umbrella pine tree, a trunk of smoke rising straight up before spreading outward into a vast canopy. In Pompeii itself, the sky begins to darken at an hour when the sun should still be high. Birds fall silent. And then it begins to rain, not water, but small stones of pumice, light and porous, falling harder and faster with every passing minute. For the next several hours, Pompeii endures a relentless bombardment. Pumice stones, some the size of a fist, pile up across rooftops and streets, collapsing weaker buildings under their sheer accumulated weight. Many residents flee in these early hours, using pillows and cushions tied over their heads for protection, choosing the terrifying uncertainty of the open road over the crushing danger of their own homes. Others shelter in place, believing, as their ancestors always had, that this violent weather will eventually pass. It does not. Ashfall is measured not in inches but in feet, bearing carts, doorways, and eventually entire ground floors. Visibility drops to near zero. Families become separated in the chaos, calling out names into air, thick with sulfur and floating stone. Sometime after midnight, the eruption changes character entirely, and this shift proves far deadlier than anything that came before. The volcanic column, no longer sustainable, begins to collapse in on itself, sending pyroclastic surges, scalding clouds of gas, ash, and rock racing down the mountainside at speeds exceeding 100 miles per hour. Temperatures within these surges reach several hundred degrees Celsius. Death, for those still remaining in Pompeii, comes not through burial, but through instantaneous thermal shock, a fact modern forensic analysis of victims' remains has confirmed through the contorted, defensive postures preserved in ash. This is the origin of Pompeii's most haunting legacy, the plaster cast made centuries later by pouring liquid plaster into the voids left by decomposed bodies within hardened ash, capturing final human positions with unbearable, intimate detail. A crouched figure shielding a face, a dog straining against its chain, a family huddled together in a final embrace. By the following morning, Pompeii no longer exists as a visible city. It lies buried beneath as much as 20 feet of ash and pumice, a depth so total that the city's exact location is eventually lost to history entirely, not rediscovered until the 16th century, and not properly excavated until 1748. Nearby Herculaneum, closer to the volcano, suffers an even more sudden fate, buried under scalding pyroclastic material that carbonizes wood, preserves furniture, and even fossilizes the structure of human brain tissue in some victims, a preservation so extreme that modern scientists are still studying it today. And yet, paradoxically, this burial becomes Pompeii's great gift to history. The very disaster that ended the city preserved it in a way no other Roman site has ever matched. Bread still in ovens, graffiti still on walls, paintings still vivid with color, an entire civilization frozen mid-breath. And so, Pompeii did not simply vanish. It waited. For over 16 centuries, an entire Roman city lay hidden beneath vineyards and farmland, its final ordinary morning sealed in ash, like a message in a bottle thrown across time. When it was finally uncovered, the world did not just find ruins, it found people. Their arguments scratched into plaster, their meals abandoned mid-bite, their final moments captured in impossible, aching detail. Pompeii reminds us that history is not made only of empires and emperors. It is made of bakers and bathhouses, lovers and gladiators, ordinary mornings that never got the chance to become ordinary evenings. The city fell in a single day, but because of that fall, it has never truly been forgotten. If you want to walk through the next lost world with us, make sure you are subscribed, because history is still buried out there, waiting to be found. And tell us in the comments, which vanished city should we bring back to life next?